To E3 with John Guns. Come on in. We're going to have an amazing night. We're going to have an amazing night. So come on in and experience tonight. I promise you, you're going to walk away 10 times better. And so I'm excited about this opportunity. So come on in and share and experience this with me tonight. All right, come on in. Okay. Yeah, so I'm super excited to have all of you a part of tonight. If you don't mind, why don't you just kind of reach out and share it with someone? Let someone know that we are here and we're ready to rock and roll. I'm on vacation, and yet I was determined that even being away, I was going to partner with you tonight and share E3. I am grateful, as always, for my wife and her incredible support with all that we do. And, of course, our executive digital pastor, Pastor Ray, who continues to be available. I want everybody to invite somebody in. I'm going to get started in just a moment, but I want everyone to invite someone. No one needs to miss tonight. No one needs to miss tonight. I promise you that if you pay attention to tonight, you're going to be absolutely blown away. No one needs to miss tonight. And so invite people to join you and invite family and friends. And I promise you, it's going to help you. So let's go ahead and get started, and everybody can just kind of catch us. On yesterday, I did a message about trying again, and it hit me so hard personally because I am the testimony of trying again, and even the season that you now see me living in is a season that has been initiated from some do-overs, right? From some do-overs. And so I'm that guy who is willing to try again. And so what I want to do tonight is I want to talk about a winning strategy for maximizing doing it again. And I know that's long, and I'm really just making it up as I go, right? But I want to talk about a winning strategy for trying again. All right. So somebody can put that in the thread: winning strategy for trying again. Winning strategy for trying again. And the reason why is because many of us have made efforts to try things or to do things, and because it didn't go exactly the way we wanted, we decided that we would delay it, that we would put it off, that we would wait until there would be a better time. And now what you're discovering is that age is catching up with you, right? And when age begins to catch up with you, what age does is age takes you out of the framework, out of the mindset to want to do it again. Age takes you out of the mindset because now you start looking more for the exit than the entrance. Well, when you're younger and you try things and they don't work, then what you do is that you say, I've got time. And so you go start working on other things, but the thing that you failed at was actually something that you felt a genuine call to. So I want to begin with Pastor Neil Harrison and Brother Jonathan. I want to begin, Renato, with a quote. And the quote, this Quarterman, goes like this. It's from Winston Churchill. It says, never give up on something that you can't go a day without thinking about. Wow. Never give up on something that you can't go a day without thinking about. Here's a part of why I'm sharing this tonight. Because some of you have some things that you constantly think about, but you now feel that your life doesn't afford you to attempt to do it. So it has been converted into a regret. You got it? It's been converted into a regret. And so you started something and you didn't finish it, or it didn't go the way you desired, or it wasn't fulfilled in a way that is consistent with what you want to do and be. And so what you ended up doing was you ended up taking your hand off of your dream and you stepped into the accommodating thing called reality, and you just accepted it, right? Or you put an effort into something and it didn't materialize in what you would consider to be a timely manner. So you say, well, you know what? I can't spend all my life chasing this. So I need to go ahead and do the thing I need to do so I can secure my future. And even though that is safe and conservative and in some ways prudent, it's also suffocating of your authenticity. Because here again, the words Winston Churchill said, never give up on something you can't go a day without thinking about. What is that thing that you think about every day? What is that thing that's in front of you all the time? What is that thing that you really want to do or you really feel like doing? And here's what's amazing. And you're not worried about whether it is successful in other people's eyes, because fulfillment will be your success. Completion will be your success. That book, that business, that screenplay, right? That, all the stuff that you want to do and the things you want to do, that conference you want to have, for single mothers, whatever it is you want to do. Here's what's scary. If you think about it often, then that is a part of what you will be defined by. Or that is something you will find yourself looking at your life through the lens of incompletion, right? So part of what you got to do now is that if you've tried it before and it did not work for you, you got to do it again. You got to at least make the effort, because it's too important for you to have your life controlled by failure. And so a part of what I want to do is I want to talk to you about the strategy, a winning strategy for trying again, right? Here's the first thing, and I really only have Desiree. I've got like 5 things, Pastor G, but they've got a lot of content to them. So what I'm gonna try to do is give you these things. If you all can help me and put them in the thread for others, and then I'm just gonna kind of keep moving. Here it is. Here's the first thing: is that a part of the strategy, Elder Brandy, Sister Corliss, a part of the strategy is resolving failure. Listen, one of the worst things you can do is leave failure unresolved. And what happens is that the way we leave failure unresolved is we just get up and act like it didn't happen. Or we say, you know what? I'm done with it. I'm just moving on. And what you miss is that in order to move forward, Pastor Cartwright, good to see you up here, man. You got to resolve failure, right? You got to resolve failure, right? And there's a process. Let me give you my process or my steps for resolving failure, right? Here's the first one. You have to acknowledge it. Yeah, you have to acknowledge it. You have to look failure in the face and say, I did not get it done this time. Notice my language. I didn't get it done this time. You got to resolve it by beginning the process of taking ownership, right? You acknowledge it. You acknowledge that it did not happen the way you wanted it to happen. You acknowledge that it did not accomplish what you wanted it to accomplish. You acknowledge it, right? You acknowledge it. It's nothing wrong with acknowledging it. But here's the second part of that. Here's like the same coin, the flip side of the same coin. But you don't memorialize it. You do not memorialize the failure. What does that mean? Here's what it means. It means that you don't take the failure and make it a statue that you worship in a dysfunctional way. You don't don't deify the failure. You don't make the failure so big and so influential until it affects your self-esteem and it affects your willingness to try it again. And some of us have done a disservice to ourselves because we have memorialized failure. We've taken it and we've kind of put it in our hearts. It walks around our inner life and it reminds us daily that we have fallen short in a season of our lives. You get a divorce, and the way you memorialize your failure in that divorce is you acknowledge it, yes, but then you say, I don't trust anybody, and I'm not going to try it again, and I'm done. And what ends up happening is you end up dying alone, because when God sent you your second season, you were so afraid until you rejected it. An opportunity comes to launch out and start your business, but you remember the last time you tried something and it didn't work. So now you're fearful, right? Hey, Pastor Brandon Moore, such a good son. And you find yourself now afraid to risk. When you memorialize failure, it takes on the authority of an idol. And now it starts influencing decisions. It starts influencing relationships, and it starts influencing responses. But here's the third thing. You resolve it by acknowledging it. You don't memorialize it. So what do you start doing? Here's where you take ownership. You start listening and learning from those you trust. This is so big. You start listening and learning from those you trust. Now listen to me. I'm not talking about your buddies who bring no value to your life but crabs and hanging out. I'm talking about those of you, those in your life who have the capacity, to discern where you need to go to work through this failure. Are you getting it? That there are people, listen, God never puts you in a moment that there is not someone who can help you interpret, exegete, understand, and walk through the experience. Wow. Because at the point that you are facing life, you cannot become so consumed in the failure till you don't create a listening, learning season, which means when you're listening and learning, you are asking the right questions. So answers can be generated that when you try again, you can either repair, you can either adjust, or you can either fix, right? Or you can avoid. That's really what I want to say. You can repair, you can fit, you can ignore, or you can make sure you don't do it. And when you get to certain places, you begin to understand why you got here, what lessons you were supposed to learn, and how you were supposed to handle this. See, at some point in your life, you got to understand that some things that didn't work was because of the things you took on while trying to do it. Wow. If I'm on a boat and I'm trying to get to the other side, one of the ways that I don't make it to the other side is I take on too much water in the boat, and the boat sinks in the middle of the journey. Some of you, in attempting to do things, you took on too much stuff. You took on too much weight from other people. You took on too many opinions. Hear me, because sometimes the danger is you can take on so many opinions till you become paralyzed and you never move. You can take on so many views of the vision that God has given you. Talk to me. Until you never try it. You just, because it sinks in the middle because there's too much weight on it. Too many people engaged. So you listen and you learn. And there's a season when you have not succeeded in something, or it is not going the way you want it to go, that you step back and you take a good look and you listen to people and you learn and you reflect and you learn and you write and you learn and you ask the right questions and you learn. And what happens is that it leads you to courageously evaluate where your life is. Wow. Now all of a sudden, you've acknowledged it, but you don't memorialize it. I know I threw in another syllabus there, right? Now you're listening and learning. You're asking the right questions. You got the right voices in your life, and they're helping you do something simultaneously with listening and learning. They're helping you to courageously evaluate not only where you are, but how you got here, why this didn't work, or why it didn't work at the level you wanted it to. And you evaluate. Listen, I had a situation recently where I was in a meeting and I didn't really behave. And, I didn't respond the way I wanted to respond. I responded in a way that was not healthy for me in that moment. So there's a person I'm building a relationship with, and I asked him, evaluate how I responded. And he said some things to me that was very powerful. And what he said to me, which was so powerful, made me go back and evaluate what I'm going to do the next time I'm in that moment. Are you feeling me? So a part of what you want to happen is because failure isn't always big ideas that fall short. Failure can be how you manage a moment, because the moment exposes you as a person that still got some growing to do. Are y'all listening to me? Failure can be you getting angry when you made a decision that you would never get angry like that again. Failure is the wrong word in a moment where you're trying to discipline how you engage people in terms of conversation. Failure can be you allowing a thought to enter your mind when you made a decision that you didn't want that thought anymore. So failure isn't that you started a business and it shut down. Failure can be stuff in the moment that you made a commitment to. And so what do you need to do? You need to be close enough to somebody that can help you understand how to relate in these difficult, trying, challenging moments. You need someone that you can listen to. The Bible talks about the fact that there's safety in the counsel of many. And so for many of us, when we talk about failing, we're not always talking about the big stuff. Sometimes we're talking about moments that we didn't handle something as well as we thought we should. But here's what happens. If you evaluate it, if you acknowledge it, if you don't memorialize it, if you learn from it by asking the right questions, you ready? You find peace. Somebody ought to put that in the thread. You find peace. And Pastor Brandon and Pastor Cotton, finding peace, Gail, is amazing, because it doesn't mean that you're comfortable or settled with the failure. It means that the failure no longer controls your state of mind. And that's where God wants you to get to. When the failure no longer controls your state of mind, when you are no longer under the authority of the negative thoughts, when you no longer have your inner breakdowns, when you think about how you managed it or what you did or what you didn't do. And here's where you're going to find peace. You're going to find peace in the fact that though you've gone through it, you still have a desire to be your best person. Wow. The peace comes from the fact that you still have a desire to be your best self. And at the point that you have a desire to be your best self, now you go to the next level of this thing, which is now you redefine failure. You acknowledge that you went through it. You don't memorialize it. You start listening and learning. You courageously evaluate. You step into peace, and peace leads you into a redefinition of what failure is. And what's amazing is that when you redefine failure, you don't minimize it. You put it in a space that now gives you the capacity to pursue what you're created to pursue. You want to know what's deep? Some of you have never redefined failure. You let that marriage define you. You let that failed business define you. You let that employment opportunity that went bad define you. You let not finishing school define you. You let all this stuff define you. And let me tell you something. You can never replace desires and purpose and dream with money, houses, and success that doesn't match what you've been called to do. Some of you got decent jobs, living a decent life, but there was something you were supposed to do. You always wanted to go to college. You always wanted to get a master's degree, and now you're supposed to get it. And you think that replacing it with a man or a woman is going to give you the peace you want? No. And here's what's deep. When you start seeing other people living your truth, what's going to happen is you're going to find yourself in some awkward places where you're going to be feeling frustrated, because fulfillment is not about the applause of people. Fulfillment is about your courage to go do the thing that you cannot wake up and ignore. That's what failure is. So now start redefining failure. Watch this. There's a guy by the name of Robert Spaldinger. And he has this list of truths that can help you adjust as you redefine failure. He says 3 things, right? I'm gonna give them to you. First thing he says is failure teaches you that a certain approach may not be ideal for this particular goal. Failure teaches you that a certain approach may not be ideal, right? That wow, this is big. Failure teaches you that watch this. The way I tried to do it was not the best way to get it done for me. So now I have to step back and understand that failure is now a tutor and not a judge. Man, if you can block out the people who are quietly trying to fix you, but really are complicating you, then you can get to the point of redefining failure by understanding that maybe my approach to it is why I failed. Maybe it's the way I went at the relationship. So what I need to do is change how I approach relationships. Maybe it's how I onboarded on that job that did not give me the capacity to fully understand my assignment within the culture. Right? Maybe it was because I always thought that this is the way it should be done. And now I go through a moment of failure and God says, this is how I need you to do it. Change how you're doing it. Are y'all getting this? Put in the thread, change how you're doing it. Yeah, change how you're doing it, right? When I went to my first church at 2021, I'm sorry. I went in following the model of my father. My father's model was he's the pastor and you do what he says. Well, it worked, but it didn't work, right? My second church I went in, I kind of adjusted it a little, but I was still operating from that approach. Going into this deanship, I totally changed my approach of entry. I'm going in asking questions and not giving direction. Doesn't mean I don't have direction to give. It just means that I've learned over the years, new opportunities has to respect existing realities. Please get this. New opportunities has to respect existing realities. Please put that in the chat. That is a major quote. And no, the Lord gave it to me, right? It just messed me up, right? New opportunities come with a whole lot of different stuff, but you got to respect existing realities. It doesn't mean that the existing realities are good, okay? It just means that they exist. And so your responsibility is to manage the existing realities while altering it to become what it should be based upon God's reason for putting you there. Right? Sometimes you go in like gangbusters because you didn't understand in a previous season. You didn't learn in a previous season how to change entrance. Right? You haven't learned in a previous season how not to deal with that. Right? How not to say it like that. I've learned I've learned so much until in my marriage to my wife. I am so careful with what I say because in previous seasons I would get angry and say what I felt, which wasn't what was best for what I desired. I'm gonna throw some out at you. If your desire is worthy, then the changes you need to make are necessary. If your desire to be something is worthy, then the changes you're supposed to make are necessary. And they're justifiable, right? And so failure teaches you that sometimes your approach is not what it's supposed to be. Here's the other thing. Each time you fail, your fear of failure diminishes, and this allows you to take on greater challenges. I know that to be true. When you're redefining failure, what starts to happen is your fear of failure diminishes. Your fear of failure diminishes. And what happens when your fear of failure diminishes? Now you actually think you can do something bigger than the thing you tried to do. Whoo, man, I want to jump around and oh my goodness. God, is this helping anybody? That watch this. Some of you don't understand. You actually are no longer afraid anymore because you've learned so much. But here's the biggest thing you learned. After you failed, you woke up the next day and discovered that failure did not have the last word. After you failed, you woke up and discovered failure. And so now some of you are stepping, hey, Pastor John Paul, some of you are stepping into bigger windows. I mean, you're walking through bigger doors and bigger windows are opening. Here's why. Because even though you fail, y'all ready to, this is E3, it ain't church, but I'm going to throw about 10 seconds of church. John Paul, I need you to jump on the organ. Watch this. Even though you failed, the failure has given you the tenacity to thrive facing the next challenge. Even though you failed, it is now a tenacity in you. All of a sudden, you discover you're not as afraid as you used to be. But that only happens when you redefine failure. It doesn't happen if you let failure define you. When you take failure, look at it in the face and say, you know what? They may have removed me, but they actually set me up to be greater. Because now I understand that even in their removal was not a rejection by God. It was a repositioning. Man. It's not a rejection, it's a repositioning. It's not a rejection, it's a repositioning. So some of you don't know that what God really has done for you is repositioned you. It's not rejection, it's repositioning. And so here's the last thing. No matter how often you fail, you are not a failure as long as you don't give up. No matter how often you fail, you will never be defined as a failure as long as you don't give up. You got to think differently about failure. You got to see failure differently. You got to approach failure differently. You got to walk out failure differently so you don't give up and you redefine it. And I'll say this, and then I'll go to my last point. I got a couple more things and I'll be done. And when I redefine failure, then now I step into the third move of this process. You ready? Everybody's got to put this in the thread. You reimagine your present. You reimagine your present. Now, here's what's deep. And I really hope that y'all will share this with someone you love if it's blessing you. Here's what's deep about this. I have gone through this process of resolving failure. I've gone through this process of redefining it. I resolved it. I've redefined it. I didn't even mean to do these R's. Watch this. Now you do something amazing. You now reimagine. Wow. Now you reimagine. And it's crazy because the reimagination first begins with you. It doesn't begin with what you're trying to do. It begins with you. Do you see yourself differently now? Do you have a greater appreciation for who you are? Do you value your uniqueness? Are you able to celebrate what you've survived and what that says about your strength? Look at how you're forgiving people. And it's hard because humiliation came with it, but you're trying. So now you actually have an appreciation for the fact that you are not the person that holds grudges. You are the person that tries to do the right thing. And even though it's gotten tougher from the failure, reimagination has kicked in. Now you're starting to look at what is possible out of the failure. Wow. Wow. And here's what you're reimagining. You're reimagining two things. You ready? You're reimagining reversal and you're reimagining completion. You're reimagining reversal and you're reimagining completion. Now, all of a sudden, you start reimagining how this can be reversed, right? I'm not trying to fix this, but these feelings of inadequacy is going to be reversed. The strategy I employed that did not work this time, I see reversal, but I also now reimagine completion. Oh, wow. I now see the end at the beginning, in the middle. I see the end in the beginning, at the middle. And now, Pastor Stacy Younger, I started dreaming differently. Never stop daydreaming. Just don't get paralyzed by nightmares. Never stop daydreaming. Just don't get paralyzed by nightmares. Right? Nightmares are the pain that you can't seem to resolve, and they just control your consciousness. No, do not get paralyzed by them. Keep dreaming. Every now and then have a conversation with yourself that helps you understand you. Watch this. So how do we reimagine? I'm going to give you some quick things. One, declutter your thoughts. Declutter your thoughts. Declutter your thoughts. Okay? And that's the process. And whether you have to go to therapy, whether you have to pull on your prayer partners differently, whether you have to be at the altar for 120 minutes, days or weeks or months, whatever, right? You got to declutter your thoughts. You got to get those negative thoughts. And when those negative thoughts start to come, you got to speak to them, right? You got to speak to them. So when that thought comes of unforgiveness or that thought comes that you can't achieve it, you got to talk to the thought, right? John, you're not going to be successful as the dean. That's not true. God has ordained for me to be successful. And because he's ordained for me to be successful, even if I make mistakes, the mistakes are not going to be bigger than what God has ordained for me to accomplish. You got to talk to him. Speak to the thought, right? Speak to the thought. I've had some thoughts of failure. In the last 21 days, the last 25 days, I'm being transparent. I've had the enemy try to play mind games. But when it's happened, I've spoken to the thought. And then I've had people as well speak to the thought. Pastor John Paul McGee sent me a text one day, and it was a text of loving correction. He was speaking to a thought I had. He didn't even know it. That's why you got to stay spiritual while you're staying successful. So God can keep talking to you. Speak to the thought. Declutter your thoughts. Trust the lessons you've learned. Are y'all getting this down? Trust the lessons you've learned. Remember what we said early on. You're learning some things. Trust the lessons you learn. One of the things I love about our middle daughter, Deja, is she's always asking questions. She asked us yesterday, coming here on vacation. She asked us yesterday a very powerful question that I know people twice her age would never have thought to ask. And I was so blessed to hear my 21-year-old paying attention to not only my life, but my wife's life, and asking us life lessons to help her not become stuck or stagnant. Elder Deborah Smith, one of the most amazing things, Sister Peggy, Brother Damon, is that when you become a student of life, you change everything around you. Okay? You change everything around you. So trust the lesson. There's some lessons I've learned as the pastor of St. Paul that I now can apply to being dean. There's some things I learned, right? I learned mistakes I made that now I get a chance to kind of live out the lesson learned. And so I'm challenging you now to be a student of your own journey and learn lessons. And then here's the last thing tied to this. Commit to a solution-driven strategy. Everybody put in the thread, solution-driven, okay? Commit to a solution-driven strategy. Commit to a solution-driven strategy. You got to commit to a solution-driven strategy. One of the things that my wife always says whenever I bring her situation, first thing she's trying to do, if it's something that I'm saying to her about us or something I'm saying about me, or something I'm saying about her, the thing that I always notice about her, and it is true, sometimes she shuts down because now she's thinking about a solution. And she's very clear. I don't want to be here next time. Got to become solution driven. Now, why is this important? Because there's got to be movement. So watch this. Watch this, Des. The solution, Kenya, that you're now embracing is going to do three things. The first of all, it's going to stretch you. Sister Peggy, it's going to stretch you, right? Sister Diane, it's going to stretch you. Secondly, it's going to energize you. This strategy, you being solution driven, is going to energize you. It's not going to shut you down. It's going to energize you. So at one level, it's going to stretch you. At the other level, it's going to energize you. But at the third level, it's going to reaffirm your original goal. You're going to be solution driven, not to go get a new goal, but to finish the one that you have. And it's going to, man, I love this tonight. It's going to actually reaffirm the original goal. The original goal was for you to be happy. The original goal was for you to own your own business. Now you got watch this, Pastor J. Scott Cotton. The original goal was for you to influence leaders globally, all over the world, in the marketplace and in the church. So you got to become solution driven. You got to start asking, okay, what does it take, Deirdre, to get there? Sister Shanita, what does it take to get there, Sister Pat? Sister Karen, what does it take to get there? Right? And once you become Karen solution driven, you'll notice you have a different energy. Here's what I discovered. People who are complainers never have energy to finish anything. They only have energy to talk about it. They don't have any energy to change anything. They only have energy to be negative because all their energy is being swallowed up. When you become solution driven, you are dangerous because now answers come from people who seek solutions. Change comes that is globally impactful. In this season of my life, I'm solution driven. I ain't gonna have no conversation with people who just want to sit around the belly and complain and whine. And they're gonna dislike me for that. In my church, I don't want to have no conversation with anybody that just tells me the problem, but they give me no idea as to what they think the answer is. You are wasting my time when all you do is point out the weaknesses. No, Sierra, I need people around me, and you need people around you who are solution driven. We got a bill we need paying. We don't need to talk about how much money it is. We need to talk about how to get it fixed. My executive pastor, Scott Cotton, is great for this. If I bring you an idea and your only answer is no, that means you never wanted it to work anyway. If I bring you an idea, your first answer should be how. How can we make this work? And then the next one is, what does it take for us to do it? Surround yourself with solution-driven people. They will be your best friends while you're pursuing dreams. All right, I'm almost done, guys. Thank y'all for hanging in. I got two more things. You ready? Fourth thing, everybody put in thread, but this time I need you to put it in caps. You ready? This one, Pastor Terrence, my son, bless you, man. Need to put this in caps. Y'all ready? Papa, put this in caps. You ready? Here we go. You ready? Take action. Once you've done all of this internal work, and all that I said was internal work, now you do. You take action. There you go. I see you, Diane. You take action. I see you, Clarence. Thank y'all. Tanisha, I see you. I see you, Robin. Yes, Tanita, I see you. Put it in the thread. Take action. And that's got to be in caps. And tonight, that's what I came to challenge some of you to do. I came to tell you to take action. You've had enough. You've gone through enough stuff. Now take action. Yes. Yes. Take action. What does that mean? Confucius has this amazing quote. Confucius has this amazing quote. Here it is, y'all. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. My God. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you don't stop. It does not matter how slow you go as long as you now take action. Come on, guys. Season in my life, I gotta take action. I can't sit around having a whole bunch of conversations for the sake of having conversations. I gotta take action. I gotta move forward. And even if it's slow, yesterday we were driving here and we were moving, man. We were moving at 70, 80. We were moving. I'm not gonna tell you how fast we went. We were moving. And then we were less than 5 miles. We were less than 5 miles, Corliss, from where we are right now for our vacation time, and ran into traffic. And we were 5 miles. We had come, I don't know how many miles. We had come up and never had a slow down. Got LaJona right. We got 5 miles from this place and ran into traffic. But here's what's deep. We got here, even if it slowed us down, because even though there was traffic, we still were moving. Can I encourage you? You're still moving. So, some of you are working on your health and you're trying to get it together. And what you're starting to discover is that you had some monumental initial growth, loss spurts, and then hit that stretch where it ain't pounds, it's ounces. But here's what I need you to understand. If you can count an ounce lost, that means you're still going. You might be in traffic, but you're closer to your destination than you were before. I need everybody here to celebrate that you're still moving. You're trying, you're still moving. So let me conclude. Let me conclude, right? Then I'm going back to vacation. Be aggressive. Be aggressive. Be available for those who can help you. Be aggressive and be available for those who can help you. Be aggressive and Gina, be available to those who can help you. Don't shut down from those who can help you. Here's the final thing. Stay open to adjustments. Stay open to adjustments. Stay open, right? Just stay open to adjustments, guys. Stay open, because the second time or the next time or the fifth time or the sixth time you're going to do it, you're going to notice that you're going to have to add and delete. And every time you add and delete, you're going to be moving closer. So you got to be aggressive. You got to be available to people who can help you. You got to stay open to adjustments. And when all that's said and done, here's the last thing I'm going to tell you. Celebrate. Yes. Learn to celebrate. Learn to celebrate. Learn to celebrate. I had a kind of challenging day a week or so ago in Richmond. And I was and I love Maggiano's. I love Maggiano's. If you ever want to bless me, give me a Maggiano's card, or give me or send to me and say, go to Maggiano's, right? Love Maggiano's. So I was driving, talking to my wife, and I was like, kind of walking through the day. And I decided that in spite of the challenges, guess what I was going to do? I went to Maggiano's. I close with this. There has to be seasons that you party even if you party alone, because you should be able to measure your progress when other people can't. Learn to celebrate. Listen, guys, thank y'all for joining me tonight. It was a little longer than I wanted it to be. I hope it helped you and it's helping you. Listen, if you want to get my texts every morning, and if you signed up for E3 and you're not getting them, then they need to do like my daughter did. You need to go ahead and sign up again. But do this. Text E3 to 84576. Text E3 to 84576. And you will definitely become a part of my E3 group. Text E3 to 84576. All right. Text E3 to 84576. For all of you who have in any way invested financially in E3 with John Guns, I really thank you and I appreciate you. And you should have gotten from me today a download. And that's one of the things that happens periodically is my dude, Elder Ray Rouser, will just shoot out a download, to send out a download to you. So you should have gotten a download today, a free download, and you just pull it up and listen, and I hope it blesses you. I'll be back next week. I'm excited about the things that God is doing. I'm excited about the things that God is showing me, and I'm excited that I get to teach. So once again, you can text E3 to 84576. E3 to 84576. I am planning in the fall to do something significant as a weekend experience. I wanted to do it earlier in the year, but it's just kind of some uncertainties. Now that I know that some things are certain, I'm going to plan something for a weekend. It'll be done virtual. It'll be with me, and I can't wait to share a couple of days with those of you who have invested and will be a part of what we're trying to do. So I appreciate you. You guys be blessed, be encouraged, be safe. If you have not gotten vaccinated, please consider it, because at this stage, we need everybody vaccinated. If you have challenges with it, please get information and understand that we want everybody safe. Take care of yourself. Do the right things so that you feel safe whenever you go out, and that you are safe for those that you come back to. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Be blessed, guys. We love you. And remember, we are empowering, we are educating, and we are equipping for your best life. Take care.